We are talking about a mere World Congress. That is the littlest level of party activity. It is not, I don't know how much understanding you have of that. We are talking about your environment, people who live on the same streets, who are contiguous, sitting together, like I said here the last time. Like, let's take hall election in the universities. People of the same hall coming to elect their leader. It's the same thing with World Congress. And what did you witness? Death, chaos, savagery. We are talking about World Congress where even in some wards, members of those wards belong to the same family. Like where I come from, the majority of the people in my ward have relationships that date back to the existence of their forefathers.
Was it violent where you come from?
How can it be violent? It can't be violent. It can't. It can't. So we must leave out sentiments in this matter of talking about, oh, it's a burden of a sitting government. What congresses are never done in a way that APC had handled its own. And it goes to the fact that the party is not organic.
Now, the point you're trying to make is that we've seen disagreement. This is not the first time we're seeing, disagreement. Perhaps, nobody will recall how things getting violent, but disagreements are not new to congresses, are they?
You are correct that disagreements are not new. It is the management of those disagreements that APC has failed to do. And that's what has led to the spirit of violence, to the killings that are ongoing in their Congress. And nobody knows the end. Nobody knows what will happen at the state Congresses.
So it's back to you. Sorry to come up that way, but he says that nobody has seen this type of violence trailing World Congresses. And I think a number of journalists who have also said they don't understand why these World Congresses are so hotly contested. Why would people even go down to the level of violence? Why would it seem that in places where the party could have anticipated that it could get violent, I mean, there have been indications that in some areas it was going to be hotly contested. Zamfara, for instance. Kano, we saw a boycott in Kano of some major party stakeholders not going for the World Congresses. In Rivers, for instance, those are places where it was, seen. There were already signs. In Delta, we also saw that as well. Couldn't the party have done more to forestall the kind of violence that we have seen trailing, some people would say, ordinary World Congresses?
You see, thank you. You see, let me explain that. I think Mr. Ologbondiyan here is being simplistic in his interpretation of party politics. All politics is local. And the most fiercely contested political engagement are usually the ones at the very local level. And that's why you see the kind of violence that tend to attend local government elections. You don't usually see them at state level elections, because that's where the majority of the people are. It's like a pyramid, so the base is very broad.
Violence. And in local government elections, we barely see any violence these days.
No.
We see the results. The result is that the party at the helm of affair wins. Most times now, parties boycott local government elections. They're not interested in them anymore.
Because most of the time, they believe that it's a fait accompli. And that's why I say, you see, at that level, you have more people participating. But as you go to the state level, it gets narrower. And at the national convention, it gets even narrower still. But where you have, and I'm coming back to your point about, you call it burden of the ruling party. Is that what you said? Burden of the ruling party.
And that's what some people have called it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think there is a level that is correct. Because when you have a party in power, the stakes tend to be higher. Because people now see an opportunity to belong, to be part of something that is going on, to be part of the government in power. So they feel that at every level, if you are in the party, if the closer you are, then the more opportunities you get. People participate in politics to promote their interests.
But what is interesting in this instance is that in many of the cases, these are original APC members. Yes. Apart from Delta State, where we can say that, Senator Ovio Agege defected from the Labour Party to join, and maybe that threatens the arrangement in Delta. A lot of the states, look at Zamfara, look at Rivers, for instance. These are people who all joined the APC at the same time. You could already see that they were contending powers. Yes. Couldn't your party have done more to manage the affairs in those states?
When you say we ought to have done more, I will wonder what you want us to do, because all that a party could do is to set a guideline.
Take a look at that. Just take a look at that. I think that happened, was it in, that's Anambra, where Senator Chris Ngige, Minister of the Federal Republic, was... had to be taken out.
You see, all these spectacles, they are unfortunate. It is wrong. I condemn them as much as you do. But I think it would be wrong to hold the party responsible for this.
What do we hold responsible?
No. We take responsibility, but you cannot accuse us of engineering this. Those that they cannot accuse us of engineering this.
Just a moment. If you take responsibility, shouldn't we accuse you? Shouldn't you take up responsibility properly? Wasn't it your responsibility to have prevented it in the very first instance?
And that's why I asked you, all that we could do was to issue a guideline. All that we could do is to ensure that violence did not happen by providing security. But in spite of security that is provided, that this have happened. And we said it's an opportunity for us. We regret what happened. It's unfortunate what happened. Any single loss of life is regrettable as an account of politics. But it is a pointer to the work that we have to do.
Well, we have to take a moment. Mr. Ologbondiyan, we'll come to you shortly. When we come back from this break, please stay with us.